What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, who brought stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watch, where so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. Once you put away your phones and your computers and all that we have nowadays, yeah, it's great. We're up to date, but your brain is the only thing you have when you're going through depression, when you're going through hard times, when you're going through death, real life. You can't Google that, man. You're alone. You're alone. You may have a shrink you're going to, you may have a best friend you're going to, but there's 24 hours in the day where you're alone in this brain, and your brain is talking to you in all kinds of ways, and it wants to control you and pull you in these different pockets. If you can't control your own brain and your brain controls you, you got to tell your brain where you want to go and how you want to go and how you want to get there. You got to control it. If not, it's over. What existed for me was, okay, man, how am I gonna make this work? And all I knew back then was hard work. The only way anything gets accomplished, that's all I heard back in those days. You gotta work hard. You gotta work hard. I'm not getting I can't get this paragraph. I can't remember what the is in this paragraph to pass this test to get in the military. Read it again. Still not getting it. Read it again. But if you're not getting it, write it out. And that's how I started learning. Okay, well, I gotta write out everything I do. And then write it out again, and write it out again. And guess what happened? I got it. I got it. I can't swim, I'm negative buoyant. Go back again. I can't swim, go back again. Go back again, go back again. I got it. I realized if I keep going back and going back and going back until this just becomes, your mind will say, okay, we're gonna figure it out, because he is not going to stop. It's not like, I'm gonna try one more time. No, it's just like alarm clock goes off, boop, we're going back. I can't read right, we're going back. I gave myself no way out, and my mind realized that. They said, okay, we're gonna adapt and overcome now. Like a lot of people say, trying hard. Your mind knows, man. It knows this guy's bullshitting me, man. This guy's lying. There's no truth behind it. When I was in Navy SEAL training, people go, how were you there for 18 months? The program was only 6 months long. You were in 3 hell weeks in 1 year. No one's ever done that. How did you do that? I talk about the new norm. When I lived in a $7 a month place when I was growing up for a short period of time, I loved it. I didn't know any different. That was my norm. Once we moved out of that place, we moved to a $236 a month place. I was like, I never want to go back to that little piece of shit. But if you go back to that $7 a month place and you realize this is where I live, this is all I got, your mind says, roger that, this is home. So when I was going through Navy SEAL training for 18 months and going back through all the hard parts over and over again, I told myself after the first time, I knew it was gonna be a long journey there. My body was breaking down. It was just how it was going on. I said, you know what, this is my new norm. So my mind said, it's like going to work. Like you go to work, you put your suit and tie on, I go into suffering every day. Every day, suffering, being broken, duct taping my feet up, stress fractures, shin splints, being broken. This is my new norm. And your mind says, if we're not broken, this ain't normal. We gotta be broken. So then your mind starts to get tougher and tougher and more callous. People, how did you run on broken feet? Broken shins. My mind knew this is how we operate. We're in Navy SEAL training. This is what we are. I became hell. And that became my new norm. I gave myself no way out. There was nothing outside these walls of hell. Nothing. I love God, but for a short period of time, I became the devil, because that was hell. I became the boss, the owner, the CEO of Navy SEAL training. That was my mindset. And that's how you get through things. You immerse yourself in wherever it is, and you become that. You become that and give yourself no way out. When I was 297 pounds and I was fat as hell trying to be a Navy SEAL, the scariest thing in the world to me, even to this day, was that could have been the rest of my life. I thought then I was trying hard. That's the scariest thing in the world. I thought then, 297 pound, working for Ecolab, spraying for cockroaches, making $1,000 a month. I thought that was me at my 100% potential. Come to find out, a few years later, I wasn't anywhere near that. 106 pounds less, graduated Navy SEAL training, went on to do all these other things. Looking back on that was me trying hard. That's why people gotta understand, what is in us, we have no idea until we start trying hard. And I mean really trying hard, where you're obsessed with, hey, this is my new norm. My new norm is that, wow, this isn't always fun. It's not always meant to be fun. And that's when you know you're trying hard. People hear my story and think this guy is sadistic. I realized how the brain works. I figured out how the brain works. I'm a scared kid, and that's what gives me so much power. I had no foundation, and I built this off of just researching the mind. The feeling you get is basically invincibility. You realize that you can't do it all the time. When you need to do it, I know I can go to a place that I can live in. And when you know that you can run on broken legs and you can do certain things that a lot of people can do, but they're not willing to do, this power, this sympathetic nervous system of fight or flight, and you're fighting, it gives you this charge of energy of when you're sitting there at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and you're duct taping your feet up because they're broken, and you're doing it by yourself, and you're going through arguably one of the hardest training in the world. And these guys, most of them are healthy, and you're going through it broken, and you're already at a disadvantage, but you're still there. You can feed into that and tap into that for a lot of power. But if you look at it, well, I'm broken, man. I'm not gonna make it. But if you look at it as, man, I'm broken and I'm still here, and I'm fighting, and I'm gonna find a way to get through this, because I have no other place to go. It gives you a lot of power. When things start to suck really, really bad, my brain, and a lot of people's brain, they don't go to your dad beating you up. Your brain says, we gotta get the out of here. This is miserable. So anger goes away a lot of times when you're suffering, because your brain just says, we gotta run, we gotta go. So that anger is not popping up saying, oh, I wanna show them, I wanna show those people. No, there has to be a much deeper, when I say deeper, it has to be down to mineral soil. It has to be down to that nice mineral soil where nothing can burn. You can't burn dirt. So it has to be down that low, that literally is something in you that's at the core of your soul. But you don't find it unless you spend a lot of time with what you want to be in life. I can't give that to you.
Right.
You can't give it to somebody. When you find your true passion in life, and my passion for me was like, oh, I want to be, I don't give a Navy SEALs, Army, I don't give a shit. I want to serve my country. I want to be someone that I'm proud of. I want to look at myself in the mirror because I was so disappointed. That accountability mirror I talk about, I was so disappointed in what I saw every day. I wanted everybody to love David Goggins. And a lot of people did. I didn't love myself. But I knew a lot of us want to find peace first. So people say, man, you always talk about this suffering and pain and I'm at peace right now because I went through that. Right? You don't find peace first. If you do, Merry Christmas. More power to you. More power to you. I found peace on the opposite end of finding myself. And no one really finds themselves without going through trials, tribulations, suffering, accountability. And accountability is suffering. Being accountable every day for doing right for yourself, for the people next to you, it's miserable. It's hard. So, even the smallest details.
What am I doing here? Why am I doing this? Why do I even care? Is this really my purpose? I don't wanna be in fear, but sometimes it really hits. I'm tired of seeing tears, oh, but I just can't help it. Every day I wake up, hoping that praying my heart won't fail you now. I don't wanna be the one that would've been, could've been, should've been done. I can get caught in doubt, but I don't wanna let you down. Lord, can you keep me from falling? Put your hand underneath my chin and hear me. I'm calling. Won't you let me know side of everything that you have done to me? So if you keep my heart beating down, then I keep on seeing you. Why do I have these thoughts when your word is enough? So when your word I will trust, say I'll never forsake you. I know that you are good, and you are more than enough. Matter of fact, all I got, how could I ever leave you? Every day I wake up, hoping that praying my heart won't fail you now. I don't wanna be the one that would've been, could've been, should've been done. I can get caught up, I can get caught in doubt,
here we go, yo, yo. You already know. Hey, Rebus. Turn up the trouble, turn up the boss. Come make a rebel winner, follow the mass. Laugh when them want we stress, dance when them want we buckle. Other in the house when them want we shuffle. Cause we rebels against darkness, joy against sadness, peace when everything is madness, forgiveness when this world is heartless. We rebels, yaga 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 yaga, yo, let's rebel. Yaga 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 yaga, yo, let's rebel. Yaga 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 yaga, yo, let's rebel. Yaga 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 yaga, yo, yeah. We rebelling and meddling with fire. Not troubling when all we got him higher. No problem, him solve them. In the den, him close the lion mouth them. In your life, you're not gonna borrow, you're gonna lend. Him a go lift we head up, make the place vibes up, make we heart live up, bless up, turn up, way up, yeah. Oh, many people think I'm from Jamaica, man. Oh, I'm from Puerto Rico, Massachusetts, and Orlando. Oh, yeah. I say, hey, aye. Rebel against the negative, don't need it in my life. Don't try cause it's irrelevant, I didn't come to fight. I'm resting in the Lord, yes, and sitting back tonight I'm dwelling. They say that I'm rebelling, so to that I say yes, to the restless, be stressless, yo. So bless, yo. From breakfast to the evening, cause Jesus the bestest, yo. We rebels, yaga, 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 yo, let's rebel. Yaga, 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 yo, let's rebel. Yaga, 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 yo, let's rebel. Yaga, 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 yo, yeah. From the pressure cooker straight into the fire. Spice and pepper, make it flavor, make it simmer to the world. Smell the sweet aroma, come again. Smell the sweet aroma, hey. After the lava, deep in the water, moving for a trendsetter. Pop your collar, stand tall and make the beat trip and holler. $1, $2, $3, $4. Don't matter, we have to run some more. That's love, one in love. That's love, one in love. That's love, one in love. That's love. Let's go. Rebels, yaga yaga yaga, yo, let's rebel. Yaga yaga yaga, yo, let's rebel. Yaga yaga yaga, yo, let's rebel. Yaga yaga yaga, yo, this is real. This is right. You can feel it, yes, you need it in your life now. This is real. This is right. Hope you get it. Let me sing it one more time now. This is real. This is right. You can feel it, yes, you need it in your life now. This is real. This is right. Hope you get it. Let me sing it one more time. Yeah. Sure. Listen up. We are light and we not have nothing to do with darkness. Yo, when darkness a come, take darkness for good way. Hey, we are real star enough. A real star, we don't need a spotlight for shine. We shine bright everywhere we go. Every country, every city, all over the world. You see me? Sure. Me a star, you a star. We are all star. Carry with the galaxy. Yo, we are the galaxy on Earth, you know. You and me.
Welcome to the Rock Church, everyone. We are just so happy to have you here with us. Thank you. Thank you for coming into the house of God. And I know this is not a typical church. Thank you for enjoying some worship. We always start services with worship and dance because that's in the Bible. And we just want to say thank you to all our wonderful police officers that are making this event happen. We have our wonderful speaker, Mr. Zane Tankel, and we're just so excited that he's here to share his life experience with us. Again, thank you for being in the house, and this is your house now. You're more than welcome, and we thank you. And we just thank you that you'll have a wonderful life experience. Thank you for the Rock Churches for welcoming you to the Rock Churches. God bless you.
Good evening, guys. Officer Manny Mendoza.
I'm Officer Tom Maloney.
We just want to thank the Rock Church for us, being able to put this together. All the YCOs reaching out to us and, getting everything together. We appreciate you guys.
Just wanted to give a quick thanks to the 107 NCOs and Sergeant Burke for the effort they put in the last couple of weeks leading up to this. It's been a lot of work going into this, so thank you guys.
Just right in the back when you guys walked in, there's Youth Build and Queens Connect. We have a personal relationship with them. You're out in Pominock. They have great resources for the youth, from CPR certification, culinary arts, getting a GED. It's just a ton of free resources, something that you guys should check out and be able to utilize that with your kids.
Just a little introduction to how we got involved personally with the Rock Church. This is about 6-7 months ago. We had come back from doing our home visits for some youth in the 107 community. And we came back to the office, and in the office was standing a man by the name of Dr. Brian Goldberg. He had been speaking with some of our community affairs officers at the time, so our community affairs officers thought it would be good. We were introduced. He introduced us. He asked us what we did, what our job entailed as YCOs. And in so many words, we explained to him how our job is to try to find kids that need to be steered back onto the right path, or if you come across kids that are already on the right path, your job is to keep them on that straight path. So naturally, once he heard that, his eyes lit up, and he said, I've got a place you guys need to check out. It's called the Rock Church. So Dr. Brian then set up a meeting for us the following night, me, myself, and Sergeant Burke, to come down here and meet some of the youth leaders here, the program they run, and what they have to offer. So we come down here and meet them the same day, all three of us, and they show us around. They give us a tour. They show us the things they do here, from running a food pantry for people, for the hungry. They do dances here. You saw the dance team. They do basketball tournaments, all kind of sport tournaments. Everything you could think of, they do here. So when all three of us walked out, after about 2 hours here of them explaining everything they do here, and we were just, our minds were blown. So when all three of us walked out of that church that night, we all looked at each other and said, wow, he was right. We need to get involved with this.
Yeah, and just going off that, we started coming to the different events that they had, just on our own time, to see the magic that goes on over here. Along the way, met a bunch of different people, made great connections, and we were able to also meet some of the youth here. So on our end, we thought, why not to start our Youth Leadership Council and be able to mentor, these youth and show them that we do care, and we're just here to help people. That's. So I can't thank them enough. They're great. Listen to us. At first, you have two cops walk through the doors. What's the first thing everyone thinks? What did I do wrong? But, it's glad that we are able to bridge that gap and be able to, make a difference. That's awesome on our end, So, so with all the different, resources that we have found for them, it's everything that they requested, and we just tried to deliver on our end. So they can be interested, in new things and everything going on. It's, you know, just crazy stuff.
We've learned so much just from being involved with the youth here. It's really, it's very hard to put into words. But we feel like we're a big family now at this point.
So
I'm
we
sorry.
do want to bring.
I'm so sorry. Can I interrupt for a moment? I hope you don't mind the interruption. But I just have to say something about these two officers. You know, it's true. When they did walk in the door, many people said, "Oh my God, the police are here." I said, "No, it's okay. They're part of the house. They're rocks. It's okay." I just want to say thank you to Officer Melonia Mendoza. They have made such a connection with the community, with the church, as the message that we try to give to everyone, that they are friends, they are our heroes. And they did it just by boots on the ground, getting their hands dirty. They go out with the kids, they play, they eat pizza, they do all the fun stuff, and you know, it's such a beautiful connection, and we were able to see that connection grow. From the moment that these two gentlemen came in, it was wonderful. It was fantastic, and I cannot tell you how it changed the lives and the perspective of so many people. It really gave us a real, true education of what they do, and we appreciate them ever more. So yeah, they're my heroes. Just wanted to let you know. Thank you.
On that note, we do want to bring someone up to the stage that we did a seminar with about interviewing techniques as well as resume building. If we could welcome Pamela Bodley to the stage.
Thank you for that amazing introduction. First of all, let's give it up for the NYPD and the Rock Church for putting this together. Thank you. So my name is Pamela Bodley. Some of you may have seen me when you walked in. I am the creator of a workshop called Job Interviewing Strategies for Teens. The reason why I created this workshop is I have two sons who are now grown, but I trained them in these strategies and these tips, and they're in their 30s right now, and let me tell y'all something. Every single job interview they've ever been on, they've always gotten the job.
Do you want to stand here and take this?
Yeah, could I? This. So back in 2011, I packaged up these strategies.
My name is Jay Lester, and I would like to say out of the 2 weeks that Miss Bodley has been here, I learned how to perfect my
You
leadership
guys
skills.
are amazing. So, thank you. Thank you. So I know that you guys are our future. So some of the things that I teach in my workshop are like, if you've never had a job, I teach you how to create that resume that'll still get you noticed. I teach you confidence. Don't be intimidated by someone coming out of an interview that may look a little older than you or may have a little bit more experience than you. It doesn't matter. It's all about the interview and how you answer the interview questions. All right? What about that hard question? Tell me about yourself. That's a hard one. Even adults struggle with that. But in my workshop, I train you how to answer the exact words you could use or something alike from that, okay? But I teach you the meat and potatoes of job interviewing strategies, and this is a real talk workshop. I'm from the Bronx. I'm giving it to you straight. So if anybody's interested, if you are a school group or if you are a part of a school or NYPD and you're interested in this workshop or maybe even want to have it for your group, I'm going to give you a way to contact me. But before I do that, I just want to say I searched high and low to find a book for you guys on Amazon. I searched every book. There was no book specifically for teens. I'm like, they need something for themselves. I wrote one. Just for you guys. So I need everybody to take out your phones right now. Take your phones out. Everybody, adults, everybody, NYPD, everybody. We got some youth youth officers here, everybody take your phones out. I want you to text the letters NYPD to 66866. NYPD to 66866. I'm gonna send you all my information for you to contact me, as well as a 1-minute video of the program. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you. Love you back. I love you back.
All right, so the next person on stage we want to welcome is our NCO Sergeant Burke, who helped out, put this together with us, and putting a lot of time and effort, spare time, coming here late at night, you know, to put this whole show together. All right, so I'd like to welcome Sergeant Burke.
What's up, New York? How we doing, guys? Listen, let's say thank you to Tommy and Manny. These guys are awesome, and I can tell you something. Hey, guys, take it to the back. Guys, take it to the back. Take it to the back, guys. Bro, take it to the back. Take it to the back. Take it to the back. Oh, stop! Stop! All right. Everybody ready? All righty. Now, who here thought that that was real? All right, listen up. Listen up. Hold up 1 second. Everyone be quiet for 1 second. I just got to legitimately check and see if everybody's okay. Is everyone okay right over here? No one's hurt? All right, everyone's good over there? All right, listen. I actually was worried about this skit because I figured Monday morning I would be in Chief Madry's office having to explain if somebody got hurt. And if you know Chief Madry, he is one big dude. All right, but if I did have to go into his office, I had a plan. And my plan was, if it gets out of control, what do I do? So I can't pick the guy up, and I can't punch him because I'd have to jump, okay? So I came up with this idea. If I get called in, I'm gonna walk in, and I'm gonna just do one thing. I'm gonna pretend I have a heart attack, and I'm just gonna grab my heart, help me. And when you do that, you get the sympathy of your boss. They'll send you to the hospital and they'll forget all about it. Now, I'm gonna call this part of the night life lessons. And these life lessons are something that I've learned over the course of my life, and you certainly will too, okay? I hope these life lessons I'm about to tell you serve you well as you climb that ladder of success. Now, obviously you could see what happened over here. It's not good. And I'm gonna go with life lesson number 1. Now, I know that I'm just a little white boy from Long Island, okay, but I do know something about fighting. And here it is, life lesson number 1. Never back up in a fight. You're just gonna get knocked on your ass. Life lesson number 2. Where's my guys here? All right, life lesson number 2. Do you guys remember in the beginning when David Goggins said, your mind is the most powerful thing in the world? And I'm going to disagree with him on that, just on that one thing, and if I ever see him, I'm going to let him know. And this one is for you, fellas. Women are the most powerful thing in the world. Now, it's serious, I'm telling you guys. You have no idea. You will see. Now, I know exactly what was going through this man's head when this all went down.
Bitch, what? Oh my God. Why would you say that out loud? Oh, way to go. Congratulations on messing this up for me. Congratulations.
And, bro, I could tell you this. This is exactly what was going through my head when I was on that stage.
Bitch, what? Oh, my.
Oh, no. No, 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 no. Oh, no. No, 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 no. Oh, no. No, no.
All right. Who doesn't love Kevin Hart? Come on, give it up for him. All right, here's a big one. You got to listen to this. Life lesson number 3. Probably why this all went down with these actors here. Now, you got to listen closely. This is a good one. And this one is definitely going to the fellas in the room. Life lesson number 3. Don't use your birth date as the pass security code for your phone, okay? Listen, women, we are small-minded as men. We don't think. But women, they will get you, man. They will look at your phone, and then you're going to have all sorts of problems, okay? Do not use your birth date. It's too easy, okay? 99% of the problems in my life have been from some woman creeping through my phone. You have to be freaking Picasso to get in my phone right now. All right, I do like twirlies, zigzags, you know. And the wonderful thing about that is, after 3 times, it gets locked. And then when I wake up in the morning and I see that it's locked, I know that this woman was creeping through my phone. How you guys doing? Have a seat. Have a seat. Guys, have a seat. Great job. Great job. I just want to end this portion with this, and I really mean this, and I am happy to see that you laughed. So I have a twin sister, beautiful girl, and when I was a kid, she was always say to me, she would go, Chris, you're not funny, you just do really funny stuff. And Liz, I think this is being simulcasted worldwide, right? That's what they're saying? Well, if my sister's watching, I just want to say one thing to you. I told you. All right. So in the next portion, I'm going to ask everybody to take out their phones and put them on silent. And I need you guys to be extremely quiet and don't say a word during this. I really mean it. Just be quiet. All right? This is some powerful stuff. Just give us a minute. Where's Brooklyn at? Any Brooklyn at? Come on, come on, jeez. How about the Bronx? All right, cool. And the Queens? Yeah! We're definitely not getting a response for Staten Island. I don't think they made it. Staten Island here? All right, cool. Thank you. What about Manhattan? You guys are here? Good job. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Everyone, please silence your phones. Now, over the past year, and I really mean this when I say this, listen, I've heard this expression a lot, and I think, if you really look deep into it, you'll understand, if you don't understand it now, you'll understand it one day, but the expression words matter, right? Words do matter. The way we treat each other, the things that we say to each other, they matter. And President Biden was saying it all the time. I can't blame him, he was dealing with Trump. But anyway, words matter. And I want to show you something that I'm going to show you words expressed on a stage.
Dear son, congratulations on your recent college graduation. Originally, this letter was intended as a lighthearted celebratory moment, poking fun at the generational divide between our views. However, senseless actions in our country have caused me to change course. I have felt helpless at times over the past months, trying to soften the increasing intensity of your pain. Despair, fear, hurt, and anger. Your innocence has been shaken. And I have tried to find just the right words to comfort you. And too often, I failed. This should be a time to celebrate your remarkable growth as a student and a person. While you have lived a life in comfort and privilege, you are also intelligent, industrious, and hardworking. You are responsible, respectful, and kind. You are a proud young black man. However, I struggle with instilling hope amid my constant fear of your safety, for your life. Instead of preparing you for your next steps, my mission now as your father is to keep you alive.
My life is not a threat.
So, how many of you feel like life has been kind of like flipped upside down over the last year? Give me a woo. You got coronavirus, you're trying to go to school, like on the internet. I don't even know how you do it. I was with my 7-year-old nephew the other day trying to do math, and I just tapped him on the shoulder and I said, "You're on your own, buddy." You are living through history on many, many different levels right now. You may not realize it, but 5 years from now, you're going to look back and be like, holy cow, I can't believe we just went through that. All right? And I'm going to reference something that happened to me last year amid all the riots and things that were going around in the country. And I'm going to tell you the story right now. So I had the opportunity to go into Manhattan and see what was going on. I was there the night the riots went down. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, oh man, this is not good for the city. You know, there were broken windows, people were looting, they were running all over the place. And one thing that was like common throughout this was hate. And especially towards police officers. And it's hard because an event happens not even in New York City, and you could see how profound it is that it makes it all the way across the country, okay? So I come into work one day and I see that the officers are coming in, drained, working 14-hour days. They're in Manhattan, dealing with protests and, you know, dealing with people spewing hate, throwing water bottles at them, fighting. And I saw them come in. Now, I was only down there minimally, but these officers were going there every single night. And it was very, very difficult. I could see it emotionally on their faces when they were walking in the building. So I come into work one afternoon, and I see my boss. His name is Deputy Inspector Scott Henry. We're going to call him Scott. So I walk into work, and let me explain something to you. When you guys enter the work field, you're going to get like little cues from your supervisors, from your bosses. And one of them is, and I'm going to give you mine. So I would walk into work on one day, and Scott, if I bump into him, says, hey, Chris, pal, do me a favor, come into my office, let's talk. I know everything's good. Now, if I walk into work and he says to me, Chris, in my office, I got to talk to you, I know this is not going to go well, all right? Now, on this day I walk into work, he says to me, he's like, hey, Chris, you got a second? Come into my office, pal. You know, whenever you're ready, just come into my office. I gotta show you something. So I go into his office, and I walk in, he's sitting at the table.
You need to read this.
And he says to me, you need to read this. Now, I didn't know what to think. I'm just looking at it. And it starts off and it says, to the 107th precinct, my heroes, I am heartbroken.
I'm here today not because I have never been racially profiled. I'd be lying to you if I said my family and close friends have never been negatively impacted by the police. I would be lying to you if I told you I don't believe George Floyd deserves immediate justice. I'm not here because anyone asked me to be. I'm here because throughout my time serving this community with you all, I have seen your tremendous stance against systemic racism. From Build the Block meetings to community council, you have put your hearts in every situation, especially those involving young men of color. I cannot tell you how grateful I am for that. Like many of you, I watch the news, completely heartbroken over the treatment of NYPD officers. I think about each one of your faces and how hard you have been trying to ease the racial tensions in this community. I think about all your efforts at John Bone High School. We have to take a second to thank the 107th Precinct, NCOs, who constantly look for new ways to bridge the gap between students of color and the rest of this community. These students are our future, and we must pay close attention to them. And you all have. You are changing the lives of these young people who in some cases don't have many to count on. Sergeant Burke and all the NCOs have shown how far just a little love can really go. I'm not trying to undermine my own pain or the pain of my Black brothers and sisters. That pain is real, and it's been living in our hearts for a very long time. But to aim that anger at officers who serve with the intentions to protect everyone equally, It's just wrong. A professor of mine told me that there's evil in all walks of life. Not once have I witnessed any evil here. My prayer is that when the world tries to change your view on how you see people like me, you remember that you are loved, appreciated, and respected by so many people of color. For me, it's not about taking sides or blue versus black. We need you to know how special police officers are. We know how discouraging it must be to watch the world burn while most police officers have been doing God's work. I came here to encourage you, to never lose sight of why you joined the force. I encourage you to remember all the lives you have already changed. I know that you're angry. I know that the world is angry. I know that I am angry. But unity and faith, love and kindness is critical, especially now. Thank you so much for your heartfelt service, because this too will pass. Respectfully, a 24-year-old Black woman.
My uniform. It's not a threat.
Now, I will never forget this as long as I probably live. I read this, and I remember exactly what I said. Wow. And I looked up at my inspector, and he looked back at me and he goes, "Yep." This was the nicest set of words and explained exactly what was going on during that time on one piece of paper. That combined experience, we probably have 40 years of combined police experience that we have ever seen up until that moment. Now, is this 24-year-old Black woman in this room? Please raise your hand. Can you step up? Kristen, that letter, I know, took a lot of courage, okay? And it was beautiful. My boss is sitting right there, and we both know what we felt at that moment, okay? And on behalf of all police officers, good police officers, we want to say thank you and give you a hug. .107 Precinct NCO team right here. This is her father.
You bring out a part of me that I never knew existed till you held me still. Your touch feels so heavenly, too much wondering if this is real. You make me feel. Tell me what you done to me. I've been feeling lonely till you came into my life, my life. Don't care if you disagree. I can feel it down deep, blowing up and rising high. Nothing gets better than this. 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 When all of my nights are cold, you bring fire when you speak to me. My remedy, feeling like glitter gold. Your side of the grass is good and green. My ecstasy. Tell me what you done to me. I've been feeling lonely till you came into my life, my life. Don't care if you disagree. I can feel it down deep, blowing up and rising high. Nothing gets better than this. 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 Tell me what you done to me. I've been feeling lonely till you came into my life, my life. Don't care if you disagree. I can feel it down deep, blowing up and rising high. Nothing gets better than this. Nothing gets better than this. Nothing gets better than this. Nothing gets better than this.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Zane Tankel.
Thank you, Sergeant. Wow, what a program. Unbelievable. You know, it's really hard to follow all these acts, and all I'm going to do is talk. And I think you guys are awesome. I think to be here is awesome. It said Zane Tankel, entrepreneur up there. Where is that? I want to see it again. There you go. So because I want to talk to that. Entrepreneur, what does entrepreneur mean? I mean, it's a lot of things to different people. Most people think entrepreneur means money. Let me share with you a story that just happened upstairs an hour ago. So I have a friend that's here today. I won't call him out because he'll get pissed off at me. He used to be a fighter, and he was a damn good fighter. In the one fight he lost, he was 10-0, and he lost 11 because he took the fight for money. He didn't take it for the sport of fighting. He loved fighting, but when he took the fight for money, he lost, broke his hands, he's done. So here's the deal on entrepreneur. Don't do it for money. Do it because you love it. Whatever it is. We have a lot of police officers here tonight. You think they took that job for money? No, they took it for you. You're lucky to have them, and guess what? They're luckier to have you. They're luckier to have you because you're here tonight. So here's what entrepreneur in my definition is. Somebody that's too stupid to quit, right? You just put your head down, heart, hustle, and guts. That's what it takes to be a real entrepreneur, but you gotta pick something you really love to do because you can't have heart, hustle, and guts with stuff you hate. You're gonna quit. You're not gonna do it. It's gonna be, for nothing. It's gonna be all for naught. So let me tell you about what we're gonna do tonight, what I'm gonna do tonight with you. Hopefully we have some fun. All right? I'm not here to lecture you. I'm not here to mentor you. I'm not here to put my finger in your face like that Navy SEAL did and tell you what to do. Because heart, hustle, and guts comes from within, not because I tell you. So how did I get to be, how many people here ever went to an Applebee's? You've got a lot of hands? Thank God. Thank God, because I can afford to be here talking to you today. So tonight we're going to talk about what an entrepreneur is. How did I get to be? I didn't fall from heaven in the CEO desk. I started with nothing but heart, hustle, and guts. And what does it take to get there? Who am I? What did I do to get here? And we're in every single borough of New York, as you know. We're all over Westchester, and we have thousands of people in our system. I'm going to introduce you to 4 tonight that have basically been through all sorts of challenges, as many of you have, I'm sure, and they're going to share with you their story and their successes. To be successful doesn't mean you're making a lot of money and doesn't mean you're an entrepreneur. It means when you look in the mirror in the morning, you feel pretty good about yourself. That's what it means. So I'm gonna talk to you a little about how I got here, what I do, what I did, and then we're gonna put some people up here, and I'm gonna show you a couple videos similar to what you saw. So in terms of who I am, Zane Tankel, guy with a funny name that happens to be the CEO. I have a granddaughter who told me, you can't say CEO. Nobody knows what a CEO is. So let me break it down for you. A CEO means Chief Executive Officer, Chief Honcho, Boss Man, Chief Tribal Leader, Numero Uno, moi, me. That's an entrepreneur. So let me tell you some of the things that touched me as a person to get to be where heart, hustle, and guts can move me to the next level. So can I see the next slide? You all know about, well, you don't know about the imposter syndrome. Let me tell you what the imposter syndrome is. And there was a study done that 90% of all people, and all of you probably suffer from it, I did not, Imposter syndrome is, I'm pretty good, I'm cool, I'm good with myself, but I can't be him, or I can't be her, or I can't be that guy with the funny name Zane Tankel. I never had that impossible syndrome. I always knew I could be whatever I could be if I just put my head down and I went and did it. I didn't have to be a Navy SEAL. I just needed to be me. So to give you an insight into what me is, let me share with you a couple of things that I've done, nothing to do with Applebee's, but gives you an insight into what heart, hustle, and guts get you. You all know where Mount Everest, I'll assume you do. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world, 29,350 feet. Every year, people attempt it, and every year, 30 or 40 people die trying to do it. It's not war, it's not their job. They do it, why? For a challenge, to overcome, to put myself at risk and get through that risk and get through that challenge. So a number of years ago, I made up my mind because I saw a movie, and I didn't have the imposter syndrome, about a climbing expedition on Everest. And I said I could do that. So I started climbing. I started with little steps, just teeny steps, a hill. Started jogging, started getting myself fit, started getting myself into good shape. Started a survival course with a bunch of guys who were climbers. And after 6 years, I went to Everest with a team. That's yours truly on the mountain. That's at about 20,000 feet in the air. And down below that, we flew all the way to China, into Tibet, and we were loading trucks up to take to the mountain. It's about a 10-day truck ride, no roads, the moon. It looks like the moon, to get to the base of Everest. And if you see that red line going up, I'll tell you how you climb a mountain. When you get to about 15,000 feet, it's called the death zone. In the death zone, you're breathing about 1/3 of the oxygen we breathe here. So you take a step, and another step. And you do that for 12, 14 hours a day. You start 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, before the sun comes up, so the snow on the mountain is still stable. And as the sun comes up, it becomes unstable. And as it becomes unstable, you become more at risk, and that's how people die. So I climbed that mountain. There were days we would all day only get to 100 yards. Sometimes it was snow up to here. Sometimes it was just a sheer drop. If you think about going to the top of the Empire State Building and looking down, that's where I was in that right-hand side picture. Can we see the next slide? So that's on another mountain in Chile called Cotopaxi, and that's me holding the bottle of wine. I kept it for 10 days and when I opened it, it broke. It broke. It wasn't worth carrying for 10 days. But in any case, can we see the next slide? So, as I said, it's heart, hustle, and guts that get you there. It was heart, hustle, and guts that got me over Everest. And next, that's on the way to the South Pole. We're leaning against the tail of an airplane, which had crashed just the week before, to give you an idea how much snow was there. So we took an expedition pulling sleds with all our gear on it, and I was on the frozen tundra of Antarctica for about 3 weeks to get to the pole. Nothing lives. And why would you put yourself through that stupidity? Again, the challenge, the heart, hustle, and guts, being able to break through. I wasn't a Navy SEAL. I wasn't any better than anybody in this room. Imposter syndrome. Always remember, I could do it, you could do it. I did it, you could do it. We see the next one. And that's on the way to the North Pole. North Pole we did by dog sled, stopped in little Eskimo villages on the way to the pole, And that took us about 3 weeks to get to the pole. That flag stands right smack on the pole, on the North Pole. And I want to tell you, I never saw Santa Claus, but I did see a lot of reindeer on the way. Can we see the next one? That was just a couple years ago. I took an expedition up the Amazon and went to tribal areas where they'd never seen people from civilization. They don't know about cell phones. They don't know about video games. They don't know about TV. They don't know anything. Their life is spent on survival, hunting and getting food for today and tomorrow and raising their families. No cars, no clothes, no video games, nada, nothing. That's about a 20-foot python snake, weighed about 200 pounds, and fortunately they didn't let him eat me. But those were my guides on the way there. And then lastly, I crossed the Atlantic 3 times in a 40-foot sailboat. And again, why? Because that's the gene in me, and that's a gene in all of you. You have to tap it. You have to touch it. You have to forget about that imposter syndrome, because anything that anybody else can do, you can do. And it's not about money. It's not about money. Money comes when you do something very, very, very well. So whatever you choose to do. If you were a cop, if you're a really good cop, you get promoted. And you become a Deputy Inspector Scott Henry, who's here today. Scott gets promoted as he moves up. And when Scott retires from the PD, if he does this really well, there'll be 10 jobs waiting for him in security at various corporate entities, if he does his job very, very well. Obviously, Sergeant Burke does his job very, very well, because this is all unnecessary. This is all extracurricular time. And he cares about people. He cares about you. And when it comes time to him move on after police, there'll be lots of things available to him, because he does this very well. So my counsel, my advice to all of you is, whatever you do, I don't care what it is, money second. Yeah, we need money. You need to live, you need to pay the rent, you need to put on clothes, you need to do a bunch of things. However, if that's your primary source, that's the fight you're gonna lose and break your hand. If that's your secondary source, you're probably gonna win that fight for whatever it is. The fight of, I call it the fog of life. You know, the fog of life, people say the fog of war. Fog of life is, I'm in that fog, I'm in that, pardon me, hope I don't get arrested. You're in the shit. You're in that shitter, right? We've all been there. I've been there. I own a monopoly on being there and mistakes. But I put my head down and I just plodded, because right at the other end of that fog, I could see my hand. But in the middle of the fog, it's just fog. So heart, hustle, and guts. If I leave you with anything today, or you learn anything today, it's about that. So I want to tell you also about where I came from and how I got here to be able to do those kinds of expeditions and those challenges. I did it because I knew that I had to do all the little things, and you need to know that you need to do all the little things right, because they will teach you how to do the big things. If you don't do the little things, Christ, that just make my bed. No, 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 no. That's how you start the day. And if you start your day right, other things will follow right. If you don't start your day right, the rest of the day can't go right. So let me share with you why you should make your bed. Can we roll that?
If you want to change the world, if you want to change the world, if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made. That you made.
Thanks so much. Thanks.
And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. To pass SEAL training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the waters off San Clemente. They assure you, however, that no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not that they can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark begins to circle your position, stand your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid. And if the shark, hungry for a midnight snack, darts towards you, then summons up all your strength and punch him in the snout, and he will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. The 9th week of training is referred to as Hell Week. It is 6 days of no sleep, constant physical and mental harassment, and 1 special day at the Mud Flats. The Mud Flats are an area between San Diego and Tijuana where the water runs off and creates the Tijuana Sloughs, a swampy patch of terrain where the mud will engulf you. It is on Wednesday of Hell Week that you paddle down to the Mud Flats and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive the freezing cold, the howling wind, and the incessant pressure to quit from the instructors. As the sun began to set that Wednesday evening, my training class, having committed some egregious infraction of the rules, was ordered into the mud. The mud consumed each man till there was nothing visible but our heads. The instructors told us we could leave the mud if only 5 men would quit. Only 5 men, just 5 men, and we could get out of the oppressive cold. Looking around the mud flat, it was apparent that some students were about to give up. It was still over 8 hours till the sun came up. 8 more hours of bone-chilling cold. The chattering teeth and the shivering moans of the trainees were so loud, it was hard to hear anything. And then one voice began to echo through the night. One voice raised in song. The song was terribly out of tune, but sung with great enthusiasm. One voice became 2, and 2 became 3, and before long, everyone in the class was singing. The instructors threatened us with more time in the mud if we kept up the singing, but the singing persisted, and somehow the mud seemed a little warmer, and the wind a little tamer, and the dawn not so far away. If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person, a Washington, a Lincoln, King, Mandela, and even a young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope. So if you want to change the world, start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never ever give up, if you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better.
So he said, the Admiral said, well, if you want to change the world, changing the world's a big task. But here's how each and every one in this room and myself and presently am changing the world, and how you change the world. Make a success of yourself. Make yourself, whatever you do, successful. Each little grain changes the world a little bit at a time. Let me tell you a story. So there was a guy walking down this really, really lonely beach, and he sees all the way at the other end of this really, really lonely beach, nobody there. Jungle right behind him. A guy or something, a dot, a spot, and he sees the dot stopping and getting up, and dots. As they approach each other and get closer and closer, he sees it's a guy. And he's bending down, he's picking something up, and he's throwing it. And he keeps walking along the beach. Now they come even. And he sees him bending down and picks something up. He said, I saw you when you were just a dot at the other end of the beach. What are you doing? He said, well, here's the deal. When the tide comes in, all the starfish wash up on the shore, and we're all starfish. And when the tide goes back out, those starfish die without somebody helping them, without some mentoring. So I'm picking them up and I'm throwing them back in. And the guy thinks that's the funniest thing in the world. Funniest thing he ever heard. He said, so how many starfish do you think you could throw back in? He says, tell it to that one. Because he just saved another starfish. So it all happens as we change the world one at a time, one success at a time, one person at a time. So your goal, your role, no applause, your role is about getting yourself successful. Heart, hustle, and guts. Getting through the fog of life, not the fog of war. Life has got challenges and obstacles. I faced them. I'm going to put some people in front of you that faced them, and we all overcame. And you guys have things to overcome, and you can overcome. So let me come back to my story. So I'm born in Brooklyn, Coney Island, right near the third turn of the cyclone. And that's where I live until I'm 5, and my family moves to Paterson, New Jersey. I don't know if you know much about Paterson, but when I went to Paterson, highest crime rate, highest drug addiction, highest everything that was bad, and nothing was good. So I got to join. I got to be in it, which I'm sure some of you have done it. I got to be part of that, or I got to be outcast. So I did it, heart, hustle, and guts. I just did it better, which is really defined as worse than anybody else. In the 8th grade, 13 years old, I'm thrown out of grammar school. And I'm told, my parents are told, I didn't know what it meant for the longest time, one bad apple spoils the lot. Me? Yeah, you. And they expelled me, and I couldn't go to that school. I lived 15 minutes from that grammar school to walk to work every day. So I had to take 2 buses to the other side of Paterson to an even worse school to finish my 8th grade. Now I get done with 8th grade, I'm 13, and I'm angry. I'm an angry dude, and I'm a pretty tough angry dude. Not all that big, but a lot of heart. And I got myself caught up in stuff. And I get myself caught up where I get sent away. Yeah, 2 years. 2 years of my life. Someone would come into my room, and they wasn't the days of video cameras. It wasn't the days of reporting anything. And they come in and bam, smack you, you had a lump out there. What was that about? I just know you're gonna do something wrong, Tankel. I didn't do anything wrong. Well, that's in case you do something wrong. And that was 2 years. I came home, I came back, I knew one thing when it was all over. I ain't going there. I don't care how tough I am, I don't know how tough I gotta be. That ain't my way. That ain't my route, that ain't my road, and whatever I gotta do to rehabilitate and get there, I'll do it. So I spent the next 2 years, so once a week, they had a guy come in and teach wrestling. And I became a reasonably good wrestler. So when I went back to school, I became the state champion in New Jersey at 137 pounds, numero uno at 137. Now came my senior year, and I was again a state champion at 147 pounds. And my dad, who didn't even finish high school, never went to school, went right to work to support his family, he asked me if I'd go to college, because it would be an incredible thing for him. He was so proud. So I applied to the one college I knew I couldn't get into, the University of Pennsylvania. I knew I couldn't do that. What I didn't know was they were building a wrestling team into a world-class power. They're a national power today. They go to Oklahoma and Iowa, all over the country to wrestle. And they were building that team, or just starting to build it, when I got into Penn. So I did 4 years at the University of Pennsylvania, an average kind of student, got through it, was a better wrestler as the 4 years went by. And then I graduate and I said, I gotta get as far from Patterson as humanly possible in the United States of America. So I upped and out and I went to California. And I got a job in California, and I held that job for about 6 months, and I quit. Couldn't do it. Find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I quit. And I went to Mexico, and I got a job on a fishing trawler. Now, fishing trawlers aren't you throw a line and you reel it in. Fishing trawlers is you throw out long nets that go out for miles, literally miles. And you stay at sea for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, hurricanes, cyclones, everything. Boats go like this, you think you're capsizing. And I did that for 6 months. And there were only two kinds of people that worked on a fishing trawler in Mexico. Convicts or those about to be convicts. I knew the convict side because I did it as a kid. So I knew that wasn't for me, and I came back to New York to try and begin my road to success. And success takes various forms and various takes and various ups and downs. A road to life is not a long, flat, wide road. It has hills and dales and bumps and sharp curves and stuff that comes at you blindside, ambushes all along the way. Heart, hustle, and guts. It's the only thing I had. I did have a college degree, but I didn't utilize it. Heart, hustle, and guts. You saw the Admiral talk about the little guys, right? I don't know if you could hear him very well, but he talked about the little guys who were called the munchkins. I'm a munchkin. A munchkin, if you didn't hear him, is not the guy or the size of your flippers. I got little flippers, but the size of your heart. And let me introduce you to one of our people. Just one. We have thousands. And they all kind of have the same story. And I asked a number of them if they'd come here and share their story. Because while they're not the CEO, honcho, numero uno, they are in their restaurants. And we have restaurants all over, and thousands of people. And each restaurant is run by a general manager. And that general manager has 50, 60, 80 people working for him and does millions, not hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars of sales. So how does a guy get to be a general manager? Heart, hustle, and guts. So let me introduce you to Chris Rodriguez. And Chris is going to share his story, which I think will touch a little bit of everybody. Chris Rodriguez.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I want to start off by giving a round of applause to the future leaders that's in here. So we can just give a round of applause to the future leaders.
I appreciate it.
Today I'm gonna talk a little bit about my reality and my success in life. I was raised without a mom. I was raised without a dad. My mother was in an abusive relationship with my father. When I was 6 months old, my mother committed suicide. When I was 9 months years old, my father was murdered. I guess that was his karma. My aunt took me and my older two brothers in, and she raised us. Growing up was kind of confusing, not having a mother, having school events, not having nobody by your side. Seeing everybody else play with their dad and your dad wasn't with you. At the age of 12 is when I really found out what happened and how my mother passed. During that time, growing up, at the age of 12, I made poor decisions. I ran with the gangs, I started to sell drugs, I did drugs, but I found out it wasn't for me. It took 2 incidents to find out it wasn't for me, was when I got a gun put to my head twice. At the age of 14, when I was in the freshman in high school, I got into an altercation. It was a bad altercation because I ended up getting stabbed twice in my back. Luckily, I survived. After that, shortly, I went to juvenile detention for 3 years. Came out at the age of 17. Me and my aunt didn't really have a strong relationship. We didn't really get along. So I had to go back to the streets. When I went back to the streets, I know the streets wasn't for me because I almost lost my life 3 times. So I decided I need to just find a job, make money, and try to be as successful as I can be and educate myself as much as I can. So I applied for several jobs, and I looked, and I had a few here and a few there, and I ended up applying for Applebee's where my older brother was currently working. I took the job at Applebee's, and after 6 months, I was a corporate trainer. I worked hard for it. I traveled different states. I did several different openings to open through Applebee's. After a year, I was promoted to supervisor, and after that, shortly assistant manager. Shortly after that, general manager. And I just want to say that I'm here to tell you my story, and thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So, Chris is a huge success, right? You go to juvie for 3 years. You don't have a mom, you don't have a dad, and you get through the fog of life. I'm sure there were many times he didn't think he was coming to the other side, but he did. I can tell you, I never thought I was coming to the other side, but I knew I had the heart. I knew my flippers were really small flippers, so I had a big heart to go with the small flippers. So Chris comes, and he starts as just an hourly as a cook, and now he's a general manager. He runs a restaurant that does about $3.5 million of sales, and he runs it. He's the boss. If I go in that restaurant, I ask for Chris's permission to enter his restaurant because it is his restaurant. So let me come back to where I was. So I'd gone away, I came back, I go to California, I go to Mexico, now I come back to New York to start a career, and I get a job in a printing company, and I do that, and I try and do that really, really well, and I move on, and a guy calls me one day and tells me about a concept called Applebee's. Applebee's, this is 25 years ago. And I said I was not interested in selling apples from a fruit stand. And he said, no, it's not apples, it's a restaurant. Again, pardon me, I'm in church. I said, what a shitty name for a restaurant. Applebee's. How does anybody know it's a restaurant? They're selling apples. No. Where is it? I never saw one. They're not here. They're not in this part of the country. They're in Kansas. We'll leave it for somebody in Kansas to name a restaurant Applebee's. So I went to Kansas to look at one, and I was impressed, and I liked it, and I got involved. I went and raised some money. If you're ever going to be an entrepreneur or be in business, again, if you do whatever you did before very, very, very well, you might be able to raise some money to go do something else. Everybody wants to do something else, just no paper in their pocket. Can't do it without paper. So I did the printing business very, very well. And when this guy who took me to Kansas showed me, we went to a bank, we raised some money, and we opened the very first Applebee's. You guys think it was here forever. No, it wasn't. It was unheard of in Staten Island. That was the very first one in the East. And our challenge was just what my challenge was, that it's not a fruit stand. We had to market it, we had to advertise it. I tried to get in the newspapers, that it's really a restaurant. And we worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, whatever you're gonna do it really, really well. And we did it better than anybody. There were at that time about 200 Applebee's all through the Midwest and the West. We were by far the biggest and best Applebee's in that chain at the end of our first year. So then we opened the second one. And then we opened the third one. Then we opened the fourth one, and a fifth one, and an eighth one, and a 10th one. And we continued to grow them. We grew them while we grew people. I never felt we were growing restaurants. I always felt we were growing Chris Rodriguez's. Because if we got a lot of Chris Rodriguez's out there, we can open up other restaurants. If you don't have a Chris Rodriguez or a Jose Perez or a Felicia or a Sabrina, who we're going to bring up as well, you can't open a restaurant. It doesn't go on autopilot. It's a very hard business, very difficult business. We're police officers without guns. We're dealing with the public in Bed-Stuy, in East New York, in the South Bronx, all over. And we got to always be nice, and we got to always accommodate. Doesn't work all the time, but more times than not it does, because we're able to be successful and grow and grow. So I opened that first Applebee's. We grew our Applebee's, and we became a very successful company. Money was never the driver. Money never drove us. People say to me now, oh, you're CEO, you're entrepreneur, that means you're rich. I candidly was never driven by dollars. I never climbed Everest because I was getting paid for it. I never went across the Atlantic in a 40-foot sailboat in gale winds because I was getting paid for it. I did go on a fishing trawler, and I did go to sea because they paid me for it. And I wasn't really good at it. I was terrible at it, as a matter of fact. I couldn't go 3 days without sleep. I needed an hour of sleep in 3 days. That's not a good fisherman. You gotta be up, you gotta be there, you gotta be around the clock, because that trawler means it just goes slowly out at sea, continues to troll. And it trolls, and it trolls, and you gotta be on point. That's why in 6 months I left, and I came back to New York, started in the printing business. From the printing business, I go to this first Applebee's, and from this first Applebee's, we move forward, we move on. So with that, I'd like to introduce our newest member of Applebee's. Chris has been here a long time, been through a lot. I know his family. I know his aunt who raised him. I know his brothers. One of the things that I do as CEO of this company is try and drill down and get to know what drives somebody. Because everybody that works in our company, our thousands of people, have risen above the gangs, have risen above the stuff that goes on every day on the streets. They decided something in them pushed them through. And on my way, I made lots of mistakes. On my way, I had a monopoly on mistakes. In fact, I owned all the mistakes. Let's see what Jay-Z says about mistakes. Can we throw that slide up there? Can we? Can you read that? You will not lose, for even in defeat, there's a valuable lesson learned, so it evens up. I lose because I screwed up here, but I learned it so I don't do it the next time. Right? That's what Jay-Z says. And in case you guys get me confused, I ain't Jay-Z, but I think the exact same way. I believe the exact same thing. So it was a monopoly on mistakes that got me here. It was mistakes that Chris Rodriguez made that got him here. So, by the way, Chris's general manager gets a car, he gets a cell phone, he gets a pretty damn good income, a lot of perks that go with it. But there was a lot of hard work before he got there. So let's call up our latest. Well, let me tell you the story why I asked her to come up here. Sabrina was waiting on me. I was in a restaurant. We were having some meetings in the Bronx, and Sabrina was our server. And she came over and she had a tattoo across her neck. It said 9999. I hope I got the number of nines right. And she brought drinks, and I said, excuse me, I didn't really know her. I said, what is that tat? 9999. She gave me a heart-wrenching story, quite frankly, which I'm not going to steal her lines, that I said to her, we knew we were doing this event tonight. I said, do you think you can tell that to 1,000 teens, people in their early to mid to late teens, and share with them? Because just what you've faced and just what you've gone through, she's an hourly. She's not a manager. She doesn't have her own restaurant. She's an hourly. And she's just gotten onto the path, on the road. It's a year, so it's not just a week ago or a month ago. It's a year and change where she sees something in what she's doing with us. And I'd like to ask Sabrina if she'd come out here and share with us.
Hello, everyone. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Yes, okay. Hello, everyone. I'm going to tell a little story about myself. My name is Sabrina Fahed. I am 22 years old, and I was born and raised in the Bronx. I never really had my parents around. My mother and father got separated when I was very young. I never really understood why at the moment, but turns out my father was physically abusive with my mother. So she just decided to up and leave one day and start a new life. So I stood with my father, and fast tracking to a few years, he ends up getting incarcerated for drug possession. So at that point, I had to go live with my aunt and my grandmother, and they decided to take me in full time to raise me. It was difficult. I was confused. I was all over the place as a child, not knowing what to do next. And fast tracking to high school, I got into the wrong crowd. I was fighting. I was skipping school. I thought I knew it all. And shortly after, my grandmother got diagnosed with dementia. For those who don't know what dementia is, it's basically memory loss. It was very difficult for me, so I was over it. I was over high school. I dropped out, and I thought I was making the right mistake, the right choice, and shortly after, I realized that that was a mistake. And about a year later, I went back. I took the initiative to go back to school. I got my high school equivalency. Thank you. I felt so accomplished, you know, knowing that I got up and I did it on my own. And don't get me wrong, I did it, but I didn't know what was next. So I just decided to go to college. I started at BMCC. And my first semester, I realized, okay, now I need a job just to have some extra money in my pocket. And that's when I was looking, but not really. I was sort of lazy, so I just wanted it to fall into my hands, and I guess God was with me because that's exactly what happened. I was 19 years old. I was out for lunch one day to Applebee's, and it was very random. I remember going there as a kid always, and I always loved it, but this time that I went, I was so observant with everybody around me, and the servers and the managers, and just seeing the positive energy, and I thought, wow, I really want to work here. So I went out of my shell, and I asked my server, like, hey, like I love what you do. I want you to train me. What can I do to get a job here? Turns out the manager was there, he loved me, and the next week I already started training, and that was 2 years ago. Every day in between has been trials and tribulations, ups and downs. Last year, I lost my father, and it was very difficult for me because he was abusive. So I'm dealing with having to grieve a man that hurt me. It was tough, and there was points and times where I didn't know what to do, and I broke down. I was depressed at one point. I didn't work, and I don't know what it was. It was taking a small goal in life, or just, like the video said, making your bed. I was just doing the minor things of self-care to take care of myself, and eventually I got up and I went back to work. And can I tell you guys, I'm still working on myself, but every single day, every single day, it's an accomplishment for me. I'm taking something so minor and holding on to it, whether it be, you know, like I said, making your own bed, spreading love, spreading positivity, sharing my story with you guys tonight, hoping that we can relate in somewhat. So yes, all I can say for you guys is to keep going forward and keep a positive mindset always. And thank you.
Thanks, Sabrina. Thanks, Sabrina. Good job, Julia. So let me not confuse. I'm not asking people to come up here and share their heart-wrenching stories like this is a recovery meeting or this is a meeting for a religious revival. I'm asking people only by their choice to come up here and share with you challenges, not recovery, not religious revivals. They're challenges and how they got through those challenges and how they overcame the challenges. Because you either are experiencing many of them now, or you certainly will experience them in one form or another as life moves forward. So let me introduce you to another one of our key players, Felicia. Felicia is the general manager of one of our restaurants in Sheepshead Bay, and she's the boss lady. Felicia, come on out.
Good job. Hello, everyone. My name is Felicia Morales, and I am a general manager of Applebee's in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. I'm not going to bore you with my life story, but I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to tell you where it really took a turn for me. I just got out of high school, and I decided that I was going to go for NYPD. I went to John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and that's what I was going to do. Unfortunately, halfway through that degree, things took a turn for me, and I had zero interest in it. But I didn't know what to do. Like many of you, I didn't know where to go, so I decided I'm just going to finish this out. During that time, I met the love of my life. We got married, and we had 2 beautiful children. He was my Prince Charming. Shortly after this, though, the abuse began. Abuse comes in all ways. Mine was mental and emotional. That takes a different strain on you. It breaks you down in a different way. His addiction and his alcoholism got worse over time. I was stuck. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. This was my life. I knew I had to get out. I had children. I had to save them. I couldn't let them grow up like this. But I had no money, no job, and no means to take care of them. After all, I was just an educated waitress at this point. I finally hit my breaking point. I knew I needed to go. I had $36 in my pocket. I took my children, I took everything we owned, and I moved into my parents' basement. Great, now I'm back home. I began rebuilding my life. I found 2 jobs, and I worked really hard to provide for these kids, but it wasn't enough. A year after moving out, Hurricane Sandy came and destroyed everything we had. So here I was, I just started over, now I have nothing again. I was broken, I was beaten. I couldn't take it anymore. The pain was getting to me. I often thought this is too much for me. I'll leave my kids with my parents and I'll just run. No one will care. But I couldn't do that. I needed to be their mom. After a year and a half of struggling, Often not knowing how I'm gonna feed them, I decided I'm gonna make a change. I'm gonna find myself. In 2014, I applied as Applebee's as a server. Once I was hired, I couldn't believe it. I felt like family. They were so supportive of me being a single mom. This was the company I was gonna spend my career with. I was gonna be more than that educated waitress. I didn't want to keep struggling as a single parent. I wanted my children to see that no matter what, you just keep working, you'll get where you want. 6 years later, after starting as a server, I now stand before you as a general manager of Applebee's. I have learned something. No matter how hard life gets, no matter how many times you're gonna fall, you have to get up, dust off, fix your crown, and keep moving. If there's anything you can learn, it's that don't let nobody tell you that you can't do it. Prove to them that you can do it. Because look at me, I'm not that educated waitress, I'm a general manager. I thank you all for your time, and all I can say is keep hustling hard.
Thanks for this, So that's Felicia's story. Again, each one is different, and each one had challenges, each one overcame. And last but not least is Jose Perez. I met Jose Perez about 18 years ago. He was a cook on the line, and I used to walk in that restaurant up on 225th Street, and I saw him cooking away, and I say, Jose! And he'd look up like, what did I do wrong? And we began a bond, and we began a relationship, and today, Jose's the highest ranking of all the guys he runs three very, very important, not one, he has three general managers reporting to him in the Bronx, up in Fordham, in Bay Plaza, Co-op City, and in the South Bronx, in the Bronx Terminal Market. Without further ado, Jose, come on out and tell your story.
Yes. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jose Perez. I came here from the Dominican Republic to a neighborhood called Dykeman in the Upper West. I came here from the Dominican Republic to a neighborhood called Dykeman in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Not knowing much English, I did not grow up with both my parents, and my grandmother raised me. I will give you a quick recap of how it all started for me. One day, I was sitting in my block, as we would call it back then, with 13 of my friends. We all decided at the time to go to a new supermarket called Target. So we hopped on the train without paying, went 2 stops, and went to Target. When we went to Target, we went on a mini shopping spree with no credit card or cash. I came out with about 7 chapsticks for every day of the week. As we was leaving, a lady stopped us in the middle of the street and told us, stop. We're building an Applebee's right here, and we want to offer you a job. We all looked at her and said, no way. Nobody wants to work for Applebee's. We're good. She kept insisting, and so she got the attention of 2 girls, and we finally went inside. When we went inside, we filled out 13 applications, and we all got hired. I got hired as a busboy in 2004. I will tell you, nothing comes by luck or coincidence. No good company is an overnight success. They have to put their foot down and their head down and work towards it. And I decided to do just that. Why? I no longer wanted to go to local precincts. I no longer wanted to go to central bookings. And I definitely didn't want my grandmother to come visit me in an orange jumpsuit and wearing patakis on my feet. So, and I also didn't want nobody to come around my neighborhood and do any violence. So, what I decided to do was focus on my job. I know I was losing control in my life, and I needed to go in the right direction. So I went from working from part-time to full-time to overtime. After that, I applied more to my job and I eventually worked for 10 locations in the 5 boroughs. I went from server to bartender to cook to supervisor to manager to kitchen manager to general manager to training general manager, and today, regional manager. I'm going to end by saying that every day has new opportunities. The errors and mistakes that you made yesterday were already committed. What matters now and what matters most is the present and what the future holds. Thank you and have a good night.
So here we are, coming to the end. Boy, this is a heavy lift. This is a long night. I don't know what we're saying is keeping you guys that are still here, but thank you. Because I see we lost half a long, heavy lift. If the sergeant asked me and told me this agenda, I'd say next week, not tonight. But in any case, hats off to you all. God bless you all. I appreciate it. 3 things I want to leave you with. I said I'm not going to lecture. I'm not going to mentor. I'm going to share. So here's the 3 things that I want to share most importantly. You saw 4 people, and the commonality through them all overcome and hooked up with us. They could be computer programmers, they could be working in a car repair, it could be whatever, but they're the best of the best. And they made themselves the best of the best because they found something that they liked. They didn't even know they'd like it, and they worked their way up and worked it through. So here's what I want to leave you with. I want to leave you with heart, hustle, and guts. We all got that. You got it. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to be a wrestler. You don't have to be a flipper. You just need to use it. Heart, hustle, and guts, first and foremost. The second one is what I said to you, the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome, you see me standing up here, you could stand here. You heard Jose, Felicia, Sabrina, you could be that. There ain't anybody in this room that can't, and maybe more, I don't know. But don't get caught up in the imposter syndrome. I'm good, I'm cool, I can do it. But I can't be him or her. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And the last thing I want to leave you with, and most importantly, don't forget, I'm the honcho. I'm numero uno. All those thousands of people ultimately report to me. So I'm not just giving you rhetoric. I'm not telling you what could happen. Here's what did happen. So here's the last thing that I leave you with, and maybe the most important one. And that is, if you guys think you can't, anybody here thinks you can't be here, and let's throw that slide up if we could, you never will. You never will. But if you think you can, you just might. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to get everyone's attention for a moment. I want to say thank you truly to Mr. Zane Tankel for giving us such a wonderful lesson in life. And I want to say thank you to Sergeant Burke and to Inspector Henry and to all of the police department and all the police officers that we love so much. We want to say thank you for making this night such a success. Truly, thank you. But before you go, we want to, I'd like to pray for you because you are in a church. You do understand what that means, right? I mean, you come into the house of God. You can't just leave without you getting a blessing, no? Right? So I'd like for you to do not get up. I want you to stay seated, and I'll tell you when to stand up, okay? So you heard so many what we call testimonies, their story, their timeline in life, the journey of life, right? Amazing. Some lives are easier than others, some are more difficult. Some have more laughter, some have more tears. But either way, what you have heard tonight, please take it to heart. Please listen to these words of wisdom. They've been through that, and they're trying to keep you from having to go through that. But as an addition, I want you to make a decision tonight. See, nothing happens by coincidence. And these are strong folks that you've heard speak tonight. They've taken hard times in life, and it has helped them to be stronger and wiser and propel them further. The enemy thought that he could hold them down or kick you around, but no, they took that and as a stepping point to get even higher. I'd like to give you a gift, and what has helped me, and sometimes in life, again, may not be very pleasant. When you have a friend that you can call on, and when you need a moment sometimes when you're going through it, and you know you remember these words, and you remember these testimonies, I just want you to be complete and just giving you a little extra help. What they're giving you tonight is everything that you need. But we're gonna give you something just a little extra, just a little bit more help. I'm gonna ask you to make a decision tonight. You see, because they help you in life and they help you in success, but when you come here, we wanna make sure that not only do you have success here on this earth, but we wanna make sure that you make it all the way home and that you make it all eternity. This life is beautiful, but there's another life. And we wanna just make sure that you get the keys to it and that we can get to see your face every day for all eternity in a good place. So I'm gonna ask you to accept my friend Jesus. He's a wonderful friend. He loves you so much. He's taken it all on the cross. And he's asking you tonight in your timeline of life, tonight, if you're hearing this message and you're listening through the internet, through the live streaming, that did not happen by coincidence. God has a purpose to it. And if you're hearing it, it's because God wants you to hear it. And so I'm asking you tonight to make a decision. If you could just stand to your feet, please. And I'm gonna ask you to make a decision in your heart to say, yes, I'll try Jesus. Yes, I'll do everything that Mr. Tankel said, and all of these wonderful speakers that came up, and all of these wonderful officers that you can see that they dedicate their lives. Yes, I'll do exactly as they said. And as an addition, cherry on top, I'll take Jesus in my heart too. I'll take one of those too. Yes. So would you please say this prayer with me, and all you have to do is repeat with me. And you see all these folks up here, they dance the way they dance because they got a lot of miracles, major miracles. Some health, some financial, some emotional, you name it, we've seen it, and God has healed it. So all you have to do is say this prayer with me, please. Walking with Jesus, there's nothing like it. You cannot argue with me. You cannot argue with someone who has had an experience. I've experienced Jesus. They've experienced Jesus. And we would like for you to experience Jesus. And this is the first step that we needed to do. We needed to just say a simple prayer, and it changed our lives, changed your perspective. It's so wonderful. One of our pastors said, she came to us when she was 14. She was a gang member. And we had something, we still have, Crossroads. As you can see, all the dancers, some of them are not professional dancers. They dance because they love Jesus. They dance because they received miracles. And this particular pastor, when she came to us, again, like I said, she was a gang member at 14, and she ran away from home. And so she came, and she said that at first she didn't want any hear about it. And she came the first time. The second time she had to come because she was being chased by the police, and so she ran in here to hide. And so at that moment, one of the other pastors was saying a sinner's prayer. And she said, you know what, I'm just gonna say it, whatever. She said it, and she said that when she went home and she woke up to go to school the next morning, which she really didn't make it to school, she played hooky, she said that everything looked different. When I hear her speak today, I get amazed. She said that she looked up and she saw the trees greener than ever. She heard the birds for the first time. She actually heard them sing. She saw the sun and it just shines so bright and so beautiful. She said she knew then that it was the moment that she said that prayer that changed her entire perspective. She's with us today, so she's a pastor, pastoring one of our churches down in Orlando, Florida. You know what? Jesus loves you. Say this prayer with me today. And let's see what wonderful, beautiful things that Jesus has for you. Repeat with me, please. Father God, I ask you at this moment to come into my heart. Be the Lord of my life. If it's true, what this lady's saying, then show it to me. Let me experience you. Forgive me of all my sins and show me your way. Help me to know you. Open my eyes, open my understanding. Thank you for being my friend. Never leave me nor forsake me. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, amen. We are one in love, yes. Come on, put your hands together.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right now. Yeah, 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 yeah. Lift your hands in the sky for the Most High. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are one in love. Get ready. Come on. Everybody in the room. Better come down and catch the groove. Come gather round now across the room. When you see the sun, let your passion come ignite. Jump and wave the truth and the life in the way. Just like I done, the shout out his name. Gotta rejoice in your blessings now. You gotta rejoice in your blessings now. You gotta rejoice in your blessings now. You gotta rejoice in your blessings. Turn up the bass and praise in the party. Better back up, oh, better back up. All the children turn it up. Better back up, oh, better back up. We are one in love. Better back up, oh, better back up. Better back up, oh, better back up. Better back up, oh, better back up. Raise your hands up toward Jesus. Raise your hands up toward Jesus. Raise your hands up toward Jesus. Good things coming after you. Good things coming after you. Yeah. Rejoice in your blessings. Only one thing that can bring you everything. Every boy and girl all around the world come gather around together. Running in a perfect line, following the signs with all of our mothers and brothers. Diggy diggy dum, dum, dum. Let the rhythm lift up his name. Diggy diggy dum, dum, dum. Let the rhythm bring up his praise. Jump and wave, the truth and the life in the way. Just like I done, the shout out his name. Praise in the party. Better back up, oh, better back up. All the children turn it up. Better back up, oh, better back up. We are one in love. Better back up, oh, better back up. Better back up, oh, better back up. Better back up, oh, better back up. Raise your hands up toward Jesus. Raise your hands up toward Jesus. Raise your hands up toward Jesus. Rejoice in your blessings now. You gotta rejoice in your blessings now. You gotta rejoice in your blessings now. You gotta rejoice in your blessings. Rejoice in your blessings. Better back up, oh, better back up. All the children turn it up. Better back up, oh, better back up. We are one in love. Better back up, oh, better back up. Better back up, oh, better back up. Better back up, oh, better back up. Raise your hands up toward Jesus. 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 Raise your hands up toward Jesus.
God bless you. May God bless you big May God bless you in everything that you do. And we always end this way by saying, may God fill you more with himself in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, amen. We are one in love, yes. God bless you. And thank you for being here at the Rock Churches. God bless you.
I need your rhythm 'cause it makes me move. When I hear it, just one thing to do. Little girl, got nothing to lose. Something about the rhythm keeps me feeling so alive. The way you get me moving keeps me going for the night. Something about the rhythm keeps me feeling so alive. Dancing through the clouds, I'm so high. Something about the rhythm keeps me feeling so alive.